Hello everyone, it's Diane at Minerva. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. And today I'm going to share with you a sew along for this Liberty dress. It's the Alexa Frill Dress and we're going to be making view C today. So that is the view with the frill at the collar, the sleeves and also the hem. Now you can make it without if you don't wish to have the frills on it, but I think the frills are a really lovely detail. Now what we're going to be using today is a Minerva exclusive cotton sateen, and this particular design is called Secret Jungle. It's a gorgeous shade of green with a lovely leaf going through it. I think it's going to make a really pretty dress and it's super soft. So wash and prepare that fabric before we get started. Take a tape measure and check your sizing on the back so that we're sure of the perfect fit. And when you've done that, we're ready to go and cut our pattern pieces together. So let's go and do that now. So here we have our pattern pieces. Now here we have our bodice back. This is the grain line. You're going to cut two pieces in fabric and two pieces in lining. Now if you're using the contrast under fabric as well, you're going to cut another two pieces. Now I'm not doing that today. We're using this cotton sateen fabric, so it's substantial. Now if you're using a really lightweight fabric, you may wish to use the contrast underneath. So two pieces in fabric, two pieces in lining. Note your dart placement and also your other markings. And here we have the front. And here is my lining piece. So we're going to cut one piece on the fold in fabric and one piece on the fold in lining. Make a note of your markings. Here we have our sleeve pieces for A, B and C. We're going to cut two pieces. This is a straight grain. Make a note of your markings. Here we have the skirt pieces. This time you're going to cut three pieces on the fold and the fold line is here. Note these markings. Here we have the skirt ruffle for B and C. You're going to cut three on the fold. The fold is here. Make a note of these markings. Here we have the neck ruffle. You're going to cut one on the fold and the fold is here. And here we have the sleeve ruffle for B and C. You're going to cut two. This is a straight grain. Make a note of the markings. So now we're ready to begin making our dress. So first of all, you want to wind half of your thread onto your machine spool, and then when you've done that, check your needle. So I'm using a standard size 80 today. I find this is best for this cotton sateen fabric. So when you've done that, we're ready to get started. First of all, we're going to make our darts in our front and back bodice. So let's do that now. So to create our darts, we're going to start from the markings at the outside here and we're working towards the point that you have marked. So we want to come off gradually. Don't come off too suddenly. We're working towards a gradual V. We're going to run off the end and let those threads run free so that we can knot them. So knot the threads, push the knot down towards the point that you've just created and then press it flat and create the remainder of your darts. Create your darts on your lining. Now we're going to place our front bodice pieces on our back bodice piece and we're going to pin it together at the shoulder like this, matching your notches. And then we're going to stitch that shoulder seam in place. Now stitch these seams in place with a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. Now take your neck ruffle and fold it in half lengthways and we're going to stitch the two short ends like this. Then we're going to turn it through and give it a press. Now you're going to do two lines of gathering stitches around the raw edge of your neck ruffle like this. So we want to change to the longest stitch and we're going to do them a few millimetres apart. Now you're going to pull on your gathering stitches and you're going to pin the ruffle to the dress. So we have markings here at the centre back on either side. So we start from this point here. You want to find the central front point and mark that and do the same on your ruffle piece and then gradually pull on the ruffle and make sure that you even it out so that all the gathers are even. When you've pinned it in place, we're going to baste it. So baste it to the dress now. Now you're going to stitch your front to your back at the side seams with a 1.5cm seam allowance. Now take your lining pieces and stitch your front bodice pieces of your lining to your back bodice lining piece. Now pin your lining with right sides facing to your bodice like this round the neckline, matching up the armholes and the centre front on both pieces. And now we're going to stitch around the top of that neck. Now you might want to do this from the other side so you can see exactly that you're going behind that line that you've just stitched when you attach your frill. So that's what I'm going to do. Now we're going to understitch our seam to our lining here around the neck. So trim it first of all, and you can snip into it a little. Just be careful not to snip into any of your stitches. And then close to the edge, a couple of millimetres away, we're going to understitch that seam to the lining on the inside. Now we're going to baste our lining to our main fabric around the armholes. So this will just keep it all in place. Now we're going to stitch 2 lines of stitching around the upper edge of the top of the sleeve. And then when we've done this, we're going to stitch the underarm of our sleeve. So bring your notches together just here and stitch your underarm seam in place with a 1.5cm seam allowance. Repeat on both sleeves. Now stitch the 2 short edges with the notches matching of your sleeve ruffles. So now each piece will be in a loop like this. Now you're going to turn up with a double hem, so it's a small double hem on the bottom of your sleeve ruffle, and we're going to hem it all the way around. Now you're going to stitch 2 rows of gathering stitches around the top of each of your ruffle in the same way that you did the top of your sleeve. And then when we've done this, we can pull on the ruffles and attach it to the bottom of our sleeve pieces. Now pin the ruffle to your bottom of your sleeve like this, and make sure that you've lined up the underarm seam points and the halfway point on your sleeve and also your ruffle. Now we're going to stitch it in place. Now we're going to stitch our sleeve in position. So with your sleeve the right way around and your garment the wrong way around, we're going to place the sleeve inside like this. So the right sides are facing, we're matching the notches front and back and the underarm seam. And we're going to pull on those gathering stitches around the top of the sleeve here. Now stitch your skirt panels together, matching the side notches here and here. When you're stitching the back 2 panels together, you're going to do it from the circle downwards here, so back tack to begin, because you need to leave an opening above for the zip. Now, so 2 lines of gathering stitches at the upper edge of the skirt panels. At this point, you're going to pin your skirt to your bodice, evening up your gathers. Mark your central front point on your skirt pieces and also on your bodice to make this easier, and leave a little space at the back here where your zip will go. To create our lower ruffle, we're going to join the 3 lower ruffle pieces together at the short edges, matching the notches here. We're going to join each one and then join them together in a loop. When you've done this, we're going to stitch 2 lines of gathering stitches around the top edge, a few millimetres apart, and then we can pull on those ruffles to join it to the lower skirt. At this point we've pinned our lower frill to our dress like this. So I've done mine in 3 sections, so we have 3 frills. So I've gathered up each of the sections on each frill so that I've got it on evenly like this. Pinned it all the way around, and now we're going to stitch it in place. Now when you've done this, you can edge finish or overlock the raw edges on the inside. Now you're going to hem the bottom of your dress or your ruffle. So it's a double fold. So turn it in 6 millimeters and then turn it in again. So it's 1.5 in total. Now you're going to change to your zipper foot. Use an invisible zipper foot at this point if you have one. I'm using an invisible zipper today. With your zipper placed face down and the top of the zipper to the top here where the frill meets the dress, we're going to place it on, and you want to make sure that you push back the coils so that you're working directly behind them, just here, and we're working within the seam allowance. So this is an invisible zipper, so it's edge to edge, so you want to make sure you're working down that 1.5 centimetre seam line here. We have pushed our lining out of the way at this point, and we're just working on the outer fabric. Now at this point on the other side of the zip, I always like to make a little line. So here is my waistline. I like to make a little mark on the other side of the zip so that when I join it up on the other side, I know that that is in line as well as the top matching up. So you may wish to do this as well. Sew up the other side of your zip. Now just stitch to the remainder at the bottom of your zip. If you've used a concealed zip as I have, you may find that you need to just close this area just here. So I've put my zipper foot on, my regular zipper foot, just so that I can get close to the teeth on the other side of the seam. On the inside of your dress, turn your lining in towards the inside like this, and we're going to pin it down the front of the zip. So I've folded back the zip, folded in the lining, and here it is pinned on the inside. I've also done the same at the skirt waist here. So you can press the lining up first of all and then pin it to your waist on the inside. Now at the waist you can stitch this in the ditch if you wish, but you may wish to put your pins this way so they're laying flat, and do it from the right side if you're going to stitch it in the ditch. What I'm going to do with mine is I'm going to hand stitch it on the inside, catching it to the main skirt fabric here. So I'm going to change my thread to white so that that's more concealed, and hand stitch it on the inside. I'm also going to do the same down the front. Now down the front of the zip here on the lining, this does want to be hand stitched, so you're catching it to the zip on the inside. Again, I'm going to use white so that it's invisible. Finally, at the top of the neck you can add a hook and eye to keep the top of your ruffle in place when your zip's closed. So here is the finished dress. Well, I hope you've enjoyed sewing along with me today. I think this is a beautiful dress. Of course, there are different variations that you can make from it. You don't need to make it with the frills if you don't want to, or you could leave them off at various points to suit your liking. I look forward to seeing what fabrics you've made this up in. Please remember to include any photographs with your comments so that we can see what you've been making. We always love to see your makes. Now remember to take a look at the Minerva Craft Club to get 10% off all your orders for a whole year. And of course, create a free account with us to join in with our wonderful worldwide sewing community. Well, that's all from me for today. I hope to be back soon with more sewing inspiration for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.